There, it's the Machine of Nonsense with a very special disc dive episode. We've been threatening it for a while, folks, and those threats are coming to roost. It is the disc dive into MGS2 Sons of Liberty. That's Metal Gear Solid 2 for those who aren't familiar with the series. And if you're unfamiliar with the series and our previous disc dive into Metal Gear Solid 1, what are you doing? What are you doing? Go and check that out. I'm your host, Eric.
Join us.
Join us. Join me and my own personal Otacon, Kayla.
Hello. Couldn't think of a Otacon thing. I was put on the spot.
Hell, Otacon Emmerich's classic line. Hello.
Kayla, you're Potacon. All right, let's get this.
Potacon. There we go. And to my right on the Discord here, and there will be a video version of this, by the way.
Okay.
It is Sergey Mike Lukovich. How's that work? How's that work? That one work, guys?
This pod has just begun. If you start swimming now, you might escape with your lives.
I guess I should have called him Micah Shalaska? Micah Laska? Mike Shalaska? Yeah. We're gonna workshop the names at some point. But we are not alone, the three of us. Say a gigantic lale hello to Tomas.
I've been in over 100 podcasts. I feel kind of like a podcast master.
It's really good. Because it's the truth.
Yeah. All right, Tomas is riding. I love it.
That is really good. I was coming up with this just completely off the cuff, so I don't have one for you, D. But D is on the pod today.
What is any of these supposed to mean, Eric?
Oh, this is good stuff. So if you didn't get it from the intro, we are diving deep, disc diving into Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, the 2001 video game, released in November 13th of 2001. This is actually the best selling in the series. The initial run sold 7.5 million copies of this game and has been re-released a bunch of times. The substance version came out the year after.
Skateboarding one?
Yeah, the skateboarding one came to Xbox. Been re-released in an HD collection, and I don't know if we're all playing it in the Metal Gear Solid collection that was released last year. That's how me and Kayla have been playing it.
I went to my local Funko Land, picked up a copy of it.
Good.
Went deep into the vault.
This is
So what system are you playing it on, Tomas?
I'm just switching it up.
Oh, Switch.
Honestly, like after we played the first Metal Gear Solid and did our first disc dive, I probably got halfway through the game. And this time I was like, am I going to play it again or am I just going to like catch up? So I just kind of did some research. I've played this game probably like 50 times. So think I'm good.
Yeah, Mike commented that he could like beat the tanker blindfolded, and I don't think that's a brag. I think that's just the truth, you know.
It's probably real.
So this is widely considered one of the greatest games ever. If you look at IGN, they gave it a 9.7 out of 10 back when they did point scores, and then Metacritic is sitting at a hot 96 on Metacritic all time.
What are our boys over at Famitsu giving?
I don't know any Japanese numbers, but they gave it a
Well,
very
they do a
large
40-point score.
Japanese number, I'm sure.
They look like 8s. 887, I think, is what.
887. I like it. So this is obviously the sequel to Metal Gear Solid 1, or Metal Gear Solid, if you will. Came out just a couple years after, about 3 years after the original. It's set 2 years after the events, or at least the part that we did. Let's do the little spoiler warning here. We on this episode, we'll be going over the tanker mission. The first roughly 2 to 3 hours, depending on, you know, how many lockers you open up and ogle, you know. It could take anywhere between 2 to 3 hours to complete the tanker, and that's what we're going to be going over. We're going to try to keep any, you know, later story spoilers to a bare minimum. Kayla, this is her first time with the not with the series, because we did the disc dive on MGS1, and she's also watched me play MGS5, but first go around at MGS2, so no spoilers for Kayla, no spoilers for anyone who's following along.
This is the only Metal Gear, other than like Metal Gear 1 and 2, like this is the only like portion of like the series that goes back to back.
Right, yeah.
So...
And I think it's a pretty, so it takes place, we start 2 years after the events of Metal Gear Solid. Snake and Otacon were quickly reintroduced to Solid Snake and Otacon, kind of our protagonists from the original, and this thing gets right going. We get jumping on that tanker. What did you guys think of like the intro, the credit sequence? Very reminiscent of Metal Gear Solid 1, very reminiscent of movies which Kojima wants to make, and
he absolutely does.
Yeah. What are?
It's a great setup.
Cinematic.
Like it does just it. Yeah, the opening is so fun. And it does just okay. Bam, you're on a tanker. Learned what that is. Thank you, Metal Gear. I was like, yeah, okay, we're on a tank. When you guys kept talking about the tanker, I'm like, yeah, okay, like a military tank, a tanker.
This is a giant tank. Just on a Shagahad.
So learning military terminology and tactics.
That won't be the last time you bring that up. Just learning new things from. Oh,
absolutely.
Hey, it's how we grow.
Ciphers.
But yeah, just putting you in, bam, you're on the tanker. You're going to get a picture of the Metal Gear. That's what we're here. All we need is a picture. And then it's like, oh, shit. Oh, those people are being killed. We are not alone. What the fuck do I do now? And here you go. Play.
Sergei Krilukovich.
So this is Kayla's first time, but like, when did you guys first play this? Shortly after release or at release?
I'm pretty sure this was one of the back in the day I used to pre-order shit, and so this was a day of for me.
Ooh, wow!
Yeah, right after I got done beating the bouncer. So,
oh what? So 20 minutes after you got home, you were able to play Metal Gear 2. Good. All right.
That's pretty good.
For me, it was probably a couple years after release. This came out in 2001. It was probably the summer of 2002 or the summer of 2003. I can't remember. But it was one of those, rented it, really couldn't wait to play it, and beat it like one sitting. Just played all the way through.
So good.
Yeah, I don't exactly remember when I played it. I don't even remember I'm pretty sure I played it before I played Metal Gear Solid. Which, 2002 Eric was probably very confused. 2024
Little.
Eric is still very confused with Metal Gear, so that's it's no different. But yeah, I don't remember the sequence of things. I think I was kind of a later adopter. It might not have even been like 2020 or 2002 or something. It definitely wasn't day one. I didn't pre-order or anything like that.
I think you were coming into your punk phase at that point in your life.
I think you're right. I think
you
right.
didn't
Not
want to
gonna play it in
conform.
order.
I think you're right. Yeah.
That's fine. The series already does that for you.
Yeah. We're day one over here too.
Oh, you're day one, D?
Oh yeah, this is like
Yeah.
one of my dad's favorite like games. So that meant I instantly got to play it.
Oh, what a blessing.
Yeah.
How old were you guys though then?
Old enough to know that I couldn't trust my government. All right.
Yo, same.
Yeah, I would have been like 14 or at release. So,
I think I was 13, yeah.
Yeah, 13-ish.
What a moody time for you guys.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
I wasn't moody. Hey, I wasn't
after
moody.
playing that first one, like it was kind of an eye-opening game. Like, just like, wow, all right, I'm just not jumping on Goombas and shit anymore. I think we brought that up in the first one. Like,
Yo.
and
Like, yeah, the shit that they bring up in these games, like the amount of research that fucking Kojima did, and like the future, like kind of shit that hang on tight, Kayla. If you thought the first one was fucking nuts, and it's even more nuts up in this like fucked up brain because like I played them all now, and I've watched videos. I've like done deep lore shit on this series,
Yeah.
and holy shit.
well, yeah, when you look up like Metal Gear Explained on YouTube or something, you can't find a video that's less than like 6 hours long. It's like, everyone has to apologize for like the journey you're gonna be going on.
I've worked on a lot of electrical panels while listening to Metal Gear Solid lore. So that is my career.
It's such an interesting thing. Like the jump. This game, like that first game, obviously, like we got into it. It's wild. It blends real life, kind of like historical stuff with just kind of anime bullshit, but it's like 80% kind of real life and 20% anime shit. And then they somehow found the ability to just like explode that in so many other directions and so many other ways, like in the same way that this game is just a crazy graphical leap from PS1 to PS2. It's kind of also like a narrative leap as well of like, hey, we gave you a little taste of weird like sci-fi espionage stuff. You ready for like round 2, which is 10 times like worse, like 10 times like more crazy, twisted and wild.
My God,
we're ready. I think we're ready.
I wasn't ready. Holy shit, dude.
opening has like a Loki season 1 thing, like with the stones, where they just say like, yeah, everyone has a Metal Gear.
Yeah,
like, we did not stop anything in the first game.
Nope.
They're better.
These
They
Infinity
fly.
Stones, they're just hanging out. Yeah,
They do
These are
shit.
paperweights.
They're amphibious now. Like it's like fucking. What they did, and I think it's like a PS2 flex. Also, it's like let's shave all those polygons down. Let's make us a nice rhombus.
Characters
Metal
have
Gear.
eyes now, that's a
Sometimes when they're talking like this.
yeah. I do like back to the graphical enhancements and everything else. We should stay on that for at least a little while, because like the jump in just like fidelity that first game looked amazing for its time, but this game kind of looks pretty good like right now, like from the physics, like the drips, you know, coming off of Snake's body from the rain, to shadows, to like footprints. Like they've just kind of like you said, rounded off all the edges. Yeah, it's not just polygons. They've like all of the systems from the first one are just like that much more tuned in, and they've added so many more.
It's just thoughtful. Like it's so thoughtful at like putting in those real life feelings that you get. It's like when you're trying to storytell, and shout outs to Patrick Pena, who taught me about like when you're creating a character, making them do something that we all experience, like brushing their teeth or eating breakfast, like brings you into that character's world, and seeing them dripping and sweating and getting sick outside, leaving footprints and having to hide bodies, just like add such an open door for you to like, yeah, this would be real. That was really what would happen.
There's consequences to your actions in the video game, and they happen in real time. It's like,
right,
you know,
it's just so thoughtful. Like games were not like that. If you fell down a hole, you just kind of came back, you know. Obviously you come back when you die in this, but
now you got Otacon yelling at you from the other side.
It is so, like the realism is wild, and I think it extends to a lot of like Mike. You made the joke about Kayla learning like all the terminology and stuff. Like it hits you real quick on like, okay, these are the Marines, and the Marine Corps does this, and you know, of course they're not carrying weapons on the deck of the ship because X, Y, and Z. And then, oh, here's these Russians, and they use these tactics, these guns, etc., these helicopters. Like, it's just throwing, like, pretty thoughtful exposition at you, where it's like, you're getting into the world. Okay, this is, like, real shit. This is, like, a scenario that could possibly happen. These are all, like, realistic like tactics and guns and everything else in this fantasy universe, and I think doing it through like these codex conversations with Otacon, or just like Snake reciting like, oh yeah, I know everything about every military on the planet, and here's 5 seconds about those things.
No Marine barber would touch that head of hair.
It's good stuff. It's little lines like that, and it sets the stage for like where this version of the world is at. You know, the U.S. and Russia is still kind of like the Cold War is still kind of happening a little bit.
It never ended, Eric.
Right. It sets the stage in such a really cool way. I was blown away.
This current apocalypse is nowhere near as cool as Metal Gear Solid.
I forgot how long the opening.
Yeah, I was about to say
very good, but man, I actually had to replay a bit, and I had to start over.
Oh no!
And then I was like, you have to skip like 7 cutscenes.
Yeah, you do.
There's like 7 separate like transition things. Like
walking on
Kojima's
bridge.
just going full sicko mode on this one.
He's like, I got a budget, guys.
Yeah, he's like, we're going full mocap. The first time you ever done that. You know, just I think I've seen a bit of the. They released like a documentary for this.
He documented everything.
Yeah, and he had like the staff go through riot train, like unnecessary stuff, like full on, you know,
totally necessary.
Everything that the enemies do in this game, he has done himself. Like. Just the way they react, going upstairs, trying to sweep rooms, looking for Snake.
Yep.
It's really impressive stuff.
That's how they knew to put those things in there.
I completely forgot about that aspect of it, of like, so you've got the same exact alert system as MGS1, but like the enemy AI is just like, it's night and day compared to that first one of, like you were saying, Mike, they do these like tactical like breaches and sweeps of the area. They kind of like form up together in like teams of 2 or 3 to overwhelm you. And I don't remember if like they use the riot shields yet and stuff, but
No, not yet.
no,
Oh, yeah.
oh,
They
do they? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But it's like it's way scarier, honestly, than the original, where you could like, okay, if you had a gun or whatever, or you could easily hide under something or whatnot, like you just feel like, oh, these are other like humans, you know, like the AI is smart, they're doing things that like a tactical team would do. So to hear
Or
that
just a
like
normal
Kojima like made the devs and stuff do that shit, it doesn't surprise me, because the attention to detail is nuts.
It's so good though. Like even the
So
small
good.
shit, like the classic, like the scene where your parents walk in on you while you're watching anime. You know, like like I'm playing Metal Gear Solid 2, and it's like, oh, like parent comes in like, what game are you playing? And it's like when I'm opening the locker, and there's like a centerfold picture of like.
Yeah, I always
Got
found
all
it.
They've removed some of the weirder stuff from
Oh,
this,
have
which
they?
I was kind of
Okay.
surprised by.
I didn't.
Did they? 'Cause I could
scan
still
that
get to it.
much.
I tried the codec conversation in the locker that you can do
Mm.
while staring at the poster, and I could not get that to trigger. So I think they removed Snake's heavy panting codec.
Interesting.
Yeah, but you can
Been
still
years
taste
out
the
of
poster.
It's always cold in Shadow Moses.
Isn't it weird how like all the Marines only had Japanese models in their in their lockers? It's kind of
They got it. Look,
Interesting.
man.
Judge them. Don't kink shame them.
no.
Stationed over, like we got a base over in Japan, bro. Like,
These were the only the
We're seeing
Marines.
faces a lot in there either, so
Sure.
It was really weird at the time. That was like at that first playthrough, like as a young boy, just going like, huh, American Marines and these women look different.
These are fine, upstanding Marines, I believe is one of the lines that Otacon
Yeah.
says.
Yeah. It's great. It's great.
So, we set the stage a little bit. So we have the tanker, right? Solid Snake jumps on. We immediately lose our stealth camo. It is kind of that another Loki moment, Mike, oh
that's
shit,
a
I'm
good
gonna get
cinematic
this.
shot, though.
I'm gonna get the stealth camo. I'm gonna get to use this for, from the beginning, and then no, you're not. It's immediately ruined.
But we get the amazing Terminator 2 entrance.
Yeah.
And it's very cool.
like a fine wine, a Bordeaux that's been aging for 20 years. And then as attention to detail goes in this game, they explain too many missions with the equipment. Haven't had time to work on it. So
Yeah, they give us all the
'cause
background.
what you been doing?
Iconic
right.
teamed up, right? And they're kind of, I think they're called Philanthropy.
Philanthropy, yeah.
And they're just kind of trying to take out as many Metal Gears in as many countries as they can. And
damn.
at this point, they are working with the government still.
Yeah,
Yes.
so like Otacon kind
They're
of mentions like,
recognized.
hey, we're recognized, but we're like on the fringe. We're like the X-Files going on. Shout out to Kayla on the X-Files. But
I'm the one with the David Duchovny fucking magnet on my fridge, all right?
and Mike
Station
has the
Fox
I want to
Mulder.
believe, so we're
Yeah, you're Robert Patrick.
we are all the X-Files. But yeah, and that's another bit of like they're doing a lot of exposition in this early point, but like it's 20 seconds. It's like, yeah, Snake, like we're philanthropy, and here's what we do, and okay, cool, sounds
What
good.
we've been doing for the past 2 years, buddy.
Yeah.
Let's
And
go.
it sounds like reasonable. It sounds like exactly what like these two, like if you remember from the first one, Otacon was feeling deep shame of like helping getting Metal Gear Rex off the ground, and like the potential that it had to, like he's Oppenheimer, right? Like there's a lot of Oppenheimer like parallels. I think he even talks about Oppenheimer in the first one. So obviously he's got like a deep need. Yeah, he's got like a deep need to fix the situation. And then, who do you hire to like do the dirty work is Snake, of course. He's dealt with Metal Gear a million times, so
he's always been that dude. Like, it's just like single man army, go in there. Government doesn't want to talk about it. You don't exist. But just know that if you fuck up, the whole world's fucked. So
yeah. It's like the perfect tandem, honestly, and Otacon's got like super hack anything abilities and stuff too.
Yeah.
So
Hacker man, call him what he is.
the original hacker man.
The original hacker man.
I'm in.
So like 40 seconds after landing, I guess the entire Russian military takes over the tanker.
No.
And these
soldiers without a country. All right.
Yeah.
Get him, Tomas. Get him, Tomas.
This whole entire game series is about making another outer heaven.
So Sergei Gerlukovich and his private army murder like 1 million Marines on the
It
top
was
of the
like
tanker.
6. It was 6 of them.
Literally tens of Marines.
It's honestly like that little sequence. It's kind of confusing when it's happening, or I find it confusing because you're like, what is like they introduced the Marines and 30 seconds later they introduce like all these Russians or whatever. But I remember playing it for the first time and being like blown away at kind of like the violence of it, because these dudes are just like getting their throats slit. Getting stabbed a bunch of times, like getting like, and then Otacon had just said like, yeah, these are all good Marine guys. They're not even carrying guns or anything. And it's like
these are Americans,
right?
This will be easy.
Perfect. But I mean,
They're protecting our country.
Metal Gear Solid 1 does mention Sergei,
right?
Like by name. They talk a little bit, in side conversations about Ocelot's affiliations. So you're not completely in the dark.
No, if you're following along. Yeah, if you're doing your homework, definitely.
I was not.
No.
As a teenager, but
definitely.
But I thought the name Sergei Gerlukovich was so cool. Sergei Gerlukovich.
It gives us a really easy like target from then on, because it's like, okay, is this going to be about like evading Marines? Do we have to shoot Marines? What's the deal here? And then it's like, no, there's evil Russians who just murdered a bunch of Marines. Now it's okay. You can, once you get a real gun, feel just fine about snapping necks and shooting dudes in the head here, because they're the evil Russians.
Picking them up twice to get the rations that drop out of their pockets. And
Sometimes more than twice.
oh, yeah, there you go.
Ooh, yeah, there we go. That's what we like to hear.
Getting bullets for guns that
You get them dog tags? You get them dog tags?
Freeze.
What do you guys think about, I think that's a good transition to like the mechanics, the general mechanics, what they've added in the second game. A lot easy, like first person shooting, which is really cool.
It's incredible. It's the greatest invention since sliced bread. Like,
I don't know. Mike's got an objection, I think.
Mike, you love
I
Agree.
I love the cumbersomeness of this game, of this era. I don't know. I know Eric doesn't love Shadow of the Colossus, but this control scheme reminds me of that. Just having to use every single button that I have.
It's
Kojima's
so
like, man,
confusing.
what else can we put in? It is.
Oh my god, I love it. I feel like every button is a different appendage on my body.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
like,
you can do different things with those
left
appendages
thumb.
too.
They're all your appendages, but they're in the wrong place. Like your left hand is over here, your right hand is over here.
I
disagree. I
I
disagree.
couldn't remember
You
how to
could
do
look.
anything.
Look,
It was like riding a bike for me. I held up a guard, held L1,
Wait,
ran in front of them,
It was
held
like
R1.
riding a bike, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
like riding dirty.
Okay.
And
Came back to you, man. It's like you went in
You
there,
know?
started snapping necks.
I'm hanging off the railings, dropping down, picking,
Doing pull-ups.
grabbing
Yeah.
the one on the bottom, like I'm speed running this. I'm doing the
Hell
tech.
yeah.
It feels great.
That's the
To Mike's
wild
point.
thing is there's so many mechanics that like you don't even have to interact with a lot of them, but they're all there. Like, yeah, the hanging mechanic and stuff like that. It's like, I remember like doing it accidentally on me and Kayla's
You guys didn't level up your grip to level 3?
No.
Fucking
What?
nerds.
Sorry, not a taker.
Yeah, I think I typically just don't use the hanging enough to level it up. I just always accidentally level it up.
It's only required in the tanker on European, or no, just normal extreme. There is one dog tag where you have to shimmy to a secret guy, like towards the end, and you can only have enough strength to shimmy over there if you do like, I think it takes like 400 chin-ups to level up
it's
your
ridiculous.
grip all the way. And
I've personally never done it, but I've looked up some of the more like
shout out to Tips and Tricks magazine for teaching me.
God.
It's
And that's the thing. There's so much shit you don't need. But my God, is it so amazing that it's like it's just there. Like somebody took the time to do this, and the fact that we're sitting here over 20 years later talking about these like small nuances of like a game, you know, this is like one of those better arguments for like how video games are an art medium. You know, it's like I can come back to this game 20 plus years later and still be just excited to play it. Or like, I know all those, like the shit that Mike's talking about definitely didn't fuck around on the first playthrough. But maybe like on the 20th playthrough, or maybe after talking to Mike at lunch, you know, in high school, I was like, oh, I'm going to try that out. And like, and that was the beauty too, is like, we were still very much a word of mouth society at that point. Like, it's like, God, you're just sharing the lore. Ah, God, this.
Well, yeah, because
game
like
does something
this
for me.
game invented the internet, right? So
It did.
For me, it did.
It did. This game invented my skepticism of everything.
Mostly Russians, right? But
no, mostly my government.
no, you were.
I hope you're listening.
Yes, the government's definitely listening to this podcast. So yeah, you mentioned like optional stuff. Like it is crazy. Like this is definitely the first game that I can remember playing through where it's like it's a fairly linear, like narrative based game, but there is so much you can like choose to interact with. So many different mechanics, the dog tag system. You know, like so many optional things, so much optional dialogue that if you just don't use the codec during certain situations or whatnot, that you'll just never see it. So many lines that like people recorded and actions they did and mocap that they did that is like completely optional. You know, like you don't even have to. So you could play this game multiple times, and if you did have a walkthrough or something of all the things you can do, have a pretty different experience, you know, game playthrough through playthrough, and I think it's nuts.
And the series keeps doing it. You know, it's like the being able to go to first person in like Metal Gear Solid 3 and like seeing random shit like secrets. Fucking Metal Gear Solid 5, people got tired of all the fucking dialogue that was in Metal Gear Solid 4, but you could just listen to tapes laid around all of Afghanistan. Like, fucking Kojima finds his way to Kojima the shit out of everything he does.
Yeah, everything we're saying about this game, the team and the team just keeps ramping all of that up.
Yep.
In 4 and beyond, like, so we will keep. This will
even
be a
further.
continuous. Come back to.
We be diving. So after the Russians take over under Sergei Gurlukovich, who we learn was, you know, part of a lot of the Shadow Moses incident. He supplied all of he supplied all the machinery and stuff of
behind
the
D.
We get introduced to his daughter Olga, kind of the semi like secondary in command of this unit. And we get a boss battle in this this original section, this prologue, a boss battle which took, I don't know, a solid half hour probably, Kayla, of us. No, the boss battle took like 5 minutes, but it took us about a half hour to find the boss battle.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I remember that my first.
Did you guys go the secondary, like the next path, kind of first, like down into the engine rooms and stuff? You went that way.
We went to every corner of that tanker because the map I find is pretty solid. Like that's poor use of words, but pretty good map.
I find it solid too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do we all find the map to be pretty solid, folks? So anyway.
Wait, there's a map?
So I like the map in this game even more than the first one. It's like an expanded version of the first one. But to get up to the bridge, it's like the only poorly marked staircase on that map. It's not labeled as like a staircase. It's like a phantom hallway, and it's real weird.
like a phantom pain?
Yes, it's like phantom pain. So it caused me some real pain on that. Like there was definitely real frustration until I don't think we had to look it up. I don't remember. No, I think we did eventually stumble into it.
Yeah, you can grind that one out. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, if I just went like kind of forward from where it was, I would have found it. But instead, I thought it would be back there.
All the doors and steroids are so well marked, you know?
But then you guys got to poke around and actually see kind of the cool stuff, though.
We very much did.
Like, did you guys did you guys shoot the ice bucket? Like no.
No, we
like
didn't.
There's a little ice bucket in a bar, and if you shoot the ice bucket, the ice spread. Each ice cube spreads out, which blew my mind back. And then if you sit there, the ice cubes fucking melt like individually.
He thought of everything.
In 2001.
Everything.
You risen to hell. This game, like it's fucking.
And I shot like flour and fire extinguishers and all of these particle-y things and
like an extinguisher with like little attachment will like start flopping around.
Fire extinguisher good.
So many animations.
I think the tanker was built that way, like mapped out, kind of not confusing, but just like where you need to find the specific staircase or the specific port door, because you might try to open a door, the handle popped off. Like you have to,
or it doesn't twist.
They want to lead you to all of these fun little cool things, and I think the tanker is just one of the best levels, I guess you could call it, ever.
Breadcrumbs, baby.
Yeah,
it really does show like we were talking about, like mechanics wise, it really does show like the jump from the last game to this game. It really does kind of flex the stuff that is going to be in this game in kind of like that microcosm sort of way, where you kind of get a little taste of everything. You get a little like how much more sensitive the guards are to noise, shadows being bigger and part of it. Like there's just all these really fun mechanics that are introduced. They don't even they don't explain to you the hold up system, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's the greatest thing ever. Oh my god.
I love it. The unintuitiveness of this game that and I know Eric hates that, but you can make you can make an argument that game designers used to take the fact that we had brains into the equation of it's they could figure it out, and if they don't, they could still play the game.
Exactly.
It's dig a little. It's Mike mentioned Shadow of the Colossus before. Super unintuitive. I remember like it took me forever to beat that game the first time I played it. And then like towards the end, like fucking they got like the game literally has speedrun mechanics built into it because they know that like once you got this shit tuned down, like fucking all the nuts and bolts tightened, you can kill those motherfuckers in like a minute. And they give you special shit for it because they know like this, you know, we built this fucking physics engine and we're gonna fucking, you know, you can grease the wheels and fucking go nuts, you know. I remember like Mike and Josh trying to get this stupid fucking spear from like beating all the colossi like within a certain time. And the spear sucked. But like the journey was awesome though. And that's how this game is, man. I didn't do 400 pull-ups when I first played this game, but when I heard about doing 400 pull-ups giving me something, you bet your ass I did it. Like, it's the dumbest shit, but like, I was 13, man. I had all the time in the world to figure this shit out, so... and it still hasn't landed me a job.
You work on ships now, don't you?
I do. I work on tanks.
You just said you were working on the big show.
Boom! I'm not working on ships, Tomas. Like, come on.
I may or may not have found a few Metal Gears in my tenure.
That's what he's really doing there.
Oh, so our buddy.
But the amazing, the amazing path leads to, I think, an amazing boss fight. A great boss fight.
It really is, yeah. Our good friend Olga Grlukovic, an awesome like intro. I remember playing her knife trick in my mind a million times as a kid. I feel like that was just like a really cool like action movie, kung fu movie kind of like intro to her.
What it is.
It's so good. Yeah, I mean, it is very like Matrix-y with the kind of bullet time and everything, but it's just so cool.
Everything was.
To think like, she's got a knife that has like a gun and that she's able to like use the glint off the knife to obscure just enough that Snake can't shoot her, and so like you just get this intro that she's a badass. Yeah, she might be like a 20-year-old girl or whatever else, but like she is going to like kick the shit out of Snake here. Like he might be outmatched in this fight.
It's amazing how many people are so like the best at what they do in this universe.
And
you're here with all the best.
Yeah.
But and they do such a good job of focusing on the gun in her waistband.
Yes.
And thinking that, she's going to get the one up on Snake. She's going to pull this gun at some point.
It's Die Hard, baby.
Fake you out with the ballistic knife. Like, probably the first time I'd ever seen that. Ever.
Yeah.
Really well done.
Snake's the best at what he does, too, because nobody's ever dodged that before.
That's a really good Olga.
He is. Yeah.
Joey Wheeler.
So yeah, the battle takes place with like a barrier in between, well, several barriers, but like there's kind of a wall in between, so to kind of really obscure Olga from Snake and Snake from Olga, and it's incredibly reminiscent of the Ocelot fight, like kind of the first boss battle of
cinematics, reloading guns, talking shit. You know, it's like, I grew up on the battlefields.
Conflict and bullets were my parents.
Yeah, that's all fine and dandy.
Just brought me so much like back in time, 20 years, man. It was a great
thing. Kayla, how'd you dispatch this woman?
Slowly, long. It was very long.
I think we almost died in that one at one point. Yeah.
So
on a first playthrough, I mean, that's understandable. Like, again, we talk about the, counterintuitiveness of playing this game. Like, you kind of just got to figure it out as it goes. I mean, I'm sure, like, my first playthrough.
You can't see her.
You can't.
Yeah.
But, like, there's tricks. And, like, after playing it, like, a few thousand times, It's like, like again, you could speed run this fucking fight. Like a
Can I share a thing from my first playthrough?
Hell yeah.
Like not my recent one. My first playthrough, I accidentally shot the tarp.
Nice.
Ooh,
The tarp chief.
nice.
And
Tarp.
that blew my mind. I didn't know that was even an option.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
Yeah, this whole fight is just kind of
It's a
showing
flex.
off the cool effects. Like
Yeah,
we can make
flex.
light blind you. We can just make a cape, block a tarp, block your path.
The
And
environment can be fucked with on a level you probably didn't even think it could.
Yeah, and it can harm you or it can help you. You can use it for your own advantage as well.
absolutely, because it's kind of like the second Vulcan Raven fight where
Mm.
Raven's going to focus on the last spot that he knows he saw you. And if you wait for her to go to duck bind, then roll to the left, she's still going to be firing at you on your original spot.
Sure,
And then
point.
you can just M9 her right in the head, like 5 M9s, she's down. M9, by the way, all-time weapon. Just an top 5 weapons of all time for me.
It's
Love
such
it.
a unique weapon because so it's a modified like Beretta M9, which normally shoots bullets, but they've modified it to shoot trank rounds. But it forces you to like the slide locks after every shot, so like it forces Snake to like have an animation to like kind of clear the slide in the gun, and it is such a unique like thing, like a
bolt action handgun.
Yeah, it's weird, right? It's a bolt action handgun in a sense, and it's
a fucking sniper rifle. It's not a handgun. It's
I love the M9 in this section because going from like the end of 1 where you're like, I'm fighting a walking tank nuke thing, and then you're like, well, how are they going to make Snake not as capable? He's like, well, this is all I got. This is all I got to work with. I didn't think I was going to be fighting Russians.
Yeah, I mean that's a valid point too. Like he wasn't looking to cause casualties. They're American, soldiers. Like, oh, but the turns have tabled.
And it's a great attention to detail that, like, in like Metroidvanias do it all the time, right? Like in sequels, they're like, okay, how do we take away the powers, right, of the protagonist? How do we like dumb down Samus or whatever else? But now it makes perfect sense. Like, yeah, we're only going to give him a trank gun. He's not going to have grenades and like a knife or anything because like he thought he was going after like Marines and sneaking around and just to take pictures. You wouldn't give him a machine gun, right? So,
I mean, I would.
I'd give him a handgun at least. A real one.
Or at least give him a
real
gun, trank gun.
Real gun.
Well, he gets one. He gets his handgun over Olga's body. Which is another.
Well, I gotta say, I'm hot for the M9, but I got it bad. I'm hot for Olga.
Ooh, there you go.
The hair, the boys,
hairy pits.
The hairy pits.
Man.
They really do it. They do it.
Those
Got
European women, man. Jeez.
Might I remind you, Mike? You are carrying my child.
She don't give a fuck.
Yeah, we find out.
That's so great.
Point. Remember that.
Yeah, we'll come back to that in a couple years when we get Collection Volume 2. But anyway,
when are we going to be able to play that fucking game?
I think sooner than we think.
All right, cool.
Snake kind of finds out a lot. Like, oh, you're just me 20 years ago, basically. In Olga, I think, because she's just like, do anything she can for her country. Yep. She's going to be here with this. She wants to be in the fight.
For the unit.
Yes,
that's
her
true.
unit is
her family.
It's her family. Her babysitters were bullets. So it's something like that.
Olga's such a badass, and it's a cool fight. I love that fight to introduce you to, because you're forced to use like the first person mechanics in the battle, and it gives a good intro to Mike. You mentioned like, oh, you can be blinded by a light or whatever else, which will come into play later in the game, and stuff like that. So
it is a recurring theme, at least up until next Metal Gear Solid game. Like that's the Ocelot fight again. Like original Ocelot in Metal Gear Solid 3. Sorry, spoilers for 20-year-old game. But like he's fresh. Big Boss is like, it's like, I know all this shit about guns that you don't know, blah, 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 kick back. But, like, Olga is kind of like that character in this moment. Like, it's like, you're good, but, like, you ain't that good yet.
Yeah.
So.
And you kind of see it in some of her tactics, like, she'll blind fire and stuff like that. Running and whatnot. And, like, it's easy to kind of make her miss.
Kayla shaking her head.
And you see her like limping towards the end of the fight, and like just seeing like battle damage on a boss. They're just not red blinky lights on bosses anymore. They actually can show like
they're actually affected
or hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't speed up after getting hit by like 10 missiles while carrying a fucking rail gun on their back.
And that's another note on the M9 is like the area specific damage, area specific like effects. Like it's shown in Olga.
Yeah.
But it's also shown when you're just shooting regular Russians.
Shoot a guy in the arm, they'll be like, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, and you gotta time it out, sometimes of like where
give them like 15 seconds, they'll go sleepies.
But shoot a guy in an arm, cringe.
Yes, shooting radios, shooting. God, you could shoot anything.
Shoot everywhere.
Glad Mike brought up radios.
Japanese game ever. I can shoot whatever I want.
So we pick up our first real gun, the USP, right, from Olga's body. Not dead, just sleeping.
Finally,
pistol service.
Finally, get that gun.
Yes, you joined the U.S. Pistol Service. I like that.
Kayla, did you start killing everyone?
No.
Damn.
Should have.
This game's not designed around that, though.
There is a section where it's some,
like,
some first person.
Then I'd have to run because
the pistol is useful for the guards who think they're hard asses and don't give up their dog tags, and then you got to shoot them in the foot, and then they piss their pants and give up that dog tag.
Yeah.
Again, another mechanic that needs to be explored.
It's just really cool that like once you kind of like get like the actual gun, that's something that like it unlocks another part of a feature that they don't fucking talk about.
Yeah.
Right.
You just have to explore, find it yourself.
Yeah, don't you have to shoot a fire extinguisher to see lasers later on or some shit like that?
Yeah.
And like you can't do that with the M9. You need an actual gun for it. So.
And to disarm the bombs and stuff. I mean, that's the whole reason we need the gun. Because we...
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about it. We can skip over this.
Shooting the bombs because you accidentally explode them a couple times, Steve?
Hey, if there's a thing that's been consistent in all these 20 years of any Metal Gear game, I don't know how to fucking disarm bombs. I'm bad. Either it's my real eyesight or just... I don't know. I just can't do it. It always takes like... A million tries. Anita was just sitting next to me.
There's a much harder version.
Oh God, I don't even want to talk about that. Just every time, like I die like 4 or 5 times before I'm like, oh yeah, I have to stand on a thing. Oh yeah, if I just crouch down, I could just get to it better. I'm always like, I'll stand in this one spot and try to hit all of them.
My boy locks in.
I think without fail, every time in that, so if we're all talking about the hallway where you have to, I think it's 3 different like remotes you have to disarm or whatever else. Every time it's like, okay, I see 2 of them, I'm going to shoot them, and that's it, right? And you walk down the
I'll
hall, and
come through.
boom, there is a third. You know,
Yeah.
every time, every playthrough I've ever played this game,
Yeah.
it happens every time, including this most recent one.
Has anybody ever tried a Leon Kennedy dive through it?
Nobody can Leon Kennedy like Leon Kennedy can.
Did you guys notice when Snake picks up that gun, they stay on it for a long time, and he's just kind of like looking at it, and it makes me think like, oh, Snake's probably hasn't used an actual weapon since
For like 2 years, maybe.
Shadow Moses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good call.
Because at that moment he's like, well, all right, let's, because he probably
Yes,
hasn't
I'm
really
killing
been
again.
fighting. He's just been
Yes, I'm
he's been
killing
like
again.
more of a spy than like
Yeah.
a soldier lately.
Yeah.
And
Like,
I never picked up on that until this.
No.
This
Like
playthrough.
Heroin.
Okay.
See, the
Ex-heroin junkie finds a script of perks that falls out of Olga's pocket.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
wow.
exactly what happened. Yes, yeah. Well, no, I think it's interesting because I didn't ever catch that, but it sets up the cipher, like the drone taking
Yeah.
the pictures of Snake, and if he hadn't been like so touched by the moment, maybe the rest of the events don't
Get the
unfold.
hell out of there, Snake. What are you doing?
That's interesting. That's really interesting. But that's that attention to detail. Like, why is Snake hesitating? Like,
You guys are killing me with the no spoilers.
It's-
Talking about shit like that.
can't do it. Can't do it.
Just grip your chair
Jumping at
very
the bit.
tightly, Tomas.
I am
So
grinding down centimeters of my teeth right now.
So once we get the gun, we head down into the bowels of the ship.
I mean, can we talk about the Vulcan Raven cameo?
Yes. Oh, it's wonderful. It's so good. So you get to a hallway, and the shadows are cast. A giant Vulcan Raven shadow is cast on the wall, and you hear Vulcan Raven, and Snake's like, Raven, what? It harkens back to X-Men 97 for me, of like, who's here, Apocalypse? Like, I feel like it's
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
it's very much Wolverine thinking
It's
Apocalypse.
his favorite line.
Oh my, it's moment of the year, folks. Spoilers
Oh,
for
Eric
nonsense
lost
of the
his
year
shit
awards.
in real time when he first heard it. I'm sure he reacted the same way on the rewatch
He did.
as well.
I'm sure he
Zero change in
So
hilarity.
good.
Now
But-
I'm gonna file that away for if I ever need to make him laugh.
Oh,
Yeah.
So good. It's
But
good.
the shadow barely looks like Raven.
Yeah. I thought it was something
think
obscene.
Snake must constantly be thinking his ex villain, like his ex, like are just around every corner. The PTSD is on full
Yo.
display here. for
there's
Snake.
like, okay, there's nothing like an actual person like out in the field encounters anything like Snake is encountered in a short amount of time. You got a guy who's got psychic blasts.
Yeah.
Fucking, oh my god, a guy who carries a fucking railgun. He fought a tank. Okay.
but the wildest thing is Raven is like he was literally eaten to nothingness by ravens, right? There is nothing
you
left
think.
of Raven, you know.
So you think, Eric? What do you think?
You fight a guy who's
Young man.
psychic. Is it so far beyond the idea of like, and we're going to talk about a scene later on, like once you get to the bottom of this tanker, this fucking universe is screwy, man. All right.
All right, Snake was
Guys,
right.
anything could happen.
Nobody's-
A
nobody's
shaman
gone.
could possess cheap McFarlane toy. Okay, we
Exactly.
don't know that. Right?
Exactly.
Oh. So we turn
Thank
the
you, Mike.
corner and we see that it is just a little figurine. For some reason, they have a Vulcan
What I
Reagan
want.
figurine on this marine tanker and a flashlight.
Buy our toys is what that is. Because there is another McFarlane crossover later on in the game. that
Ooh,
we'll talk
really?
about.
I might not know that one. We'll see.
Did you guys shoot the toy?
Yes. Of course. Every time.
I think
Everything.
so. Yeah, because it like falls over and it shoots up into the air and stuff, right? Yeah.
I don't remember that.
No.
It growls and it shoots little BBs and it's awesome.
Pretty adorable.
It doesn't stop either. It just does not stop.
Remind me. because in Twin Snakes, where you fight the ninja, there is a Mario on a Yoshi statue you can shoot, and it makes little Mario sounds.
That's because Twin Snakes is the best version of that game.
No, it's not. Shut up.
Right.
I just gotta shut that one down real quick.
So once we get past Raven and all of that, we get into what I mentioned earlier, which basically becomes like a first-person shooter for a little bit, like a cover-based shooter where we're going down the hallway, fighting a squad of Russian soldiers.
The time crisis.
Yeah, it's
very
a time crisis.
Cool. Very creepy vibes because it makes you you're deep into like
you're in the bowels,
cargo bay or some kind of part of a ship that I can't remember what it's called.
This is my worst nightmare. Like I work on boats for a living, but they're at docks. But like to me, the nightmare stories I've heard from captains of like just being out in the middle of the ocean and like just like. Okay, so you're smack dab in the center. Like you're in the you're not just walking up a flight of stairs and getting off this motherfucker if it starts sinking. Like kind of like levels of like boiler room.
It is very boiler room. And as you enter this area too, over the loudspeaker, it says we've just passed like the Verrazano Bridge checkpoint, which is where Snake should have gotten off. Like that was the plan to get off at that. So now you're like, all right, well, I'm in this now. I'm only like halfway through this mission, and I'm past where I was supposed to get off, right?
You still got to take those pictures for his Instagram, bro.
Right, yeah.
The sound design in that is so good, too. It sounds like you are in that narrow hallway, whatever.
You're in an echo chamber.
An old loudspeaker is just going on, and everything just is...
You think
Kojima went inside of a boat and tested that out?
I think so. I mean, they had to have gotten at least like the ballistic like sounds and stuff from some sort of interior room because the bullets sound differently and stuff. Like you're firing, they're firing, and it all like seems like you're in like a tight space.
Probably
fired this guy. These games had to cost billions of dollars.
Nah, he just had a bunch of interns make the sound stage for him.
Build me a tanker.
Go buy like a metal trailer and just shoot guns inside of it.
And
a Metal Gear trailer.
The tie-in to like the meta-ness again, this boss fight is another kind of just level up of another boss fight from the second one. That fight with Meryl where you're just kind of shooting dude, like that one's more like a gallery, just they're running in.
Yeah.
And this one is so much different. They're using the tactics you used against Olga, they're using against you now. They're shooting out lights. They're using, smoke and
they're obscuring. Camera obscura.
Yo.
Yeah.
How many grenades did you eat?
This run none because I smoke. I didn't kill a single one of them. I smoke them all with my M9.
Okay.
When those three run in, give them the 2-piece with a biscuit. They all the physics. This is the first time I learned that you can knock guys down with other guys.
Yeah,
because you punch the first one, the other two just go comically barreling over, and then it's just pow pow pow. And I didn't get to see much of the cool stuff they get to do. Okay. I do remember all of the interesting tactics and stuff.
You can you can do so much. You can shoot the pipes.
Yep.
Yes.
You can throw. If you found the stun grenade, you can throw the stun grenade. There's a lot. Like just by the time you get there, there's a lot you can do.
Yeah. If you found the thermal goggles, they're useful here.
Yep.
Such a cool fight, man. God.
For me, it's just Zero Dark 30 murder hallway. I'm just these dudes are dying. Sorry, you came to the wrong hallway, pal.
Yeah, Eric's a sword and board kind of guy. I could see that happening.
I invite them to the U.S. Pistol Service.
That's true.
So we've seen Ocelot knows we're here. Like he kind of had like like we're playing right into some kind of plan he has.
It's interesting. Yeah, we see
Ocelot
Ocelot early.
sending those guys in that
Triple H.
spot
Did
because
he
those
want
guys just already know. They know we're in that hall. Like they come to like they're just on their way. I never understood.
Well, I think
like who sent them.
So we see Ocelot like kill the last couple of them. Because they're confused afterwards. Yeah, after we like get past and everything else, they're like gonna lock up and get behind us. But he's supposed to like, so at that point, he's not supposed to be down there at all. Like according to the Russians, he's supposed to be like, I think on the helicopter because that's where we see him. I think he's doing like ops. Like I think he is like their commander. He's like moving people around, eye in the sky. So they're very confused that he's down there. Like, hey man, you're not supposed to be boots on the ground here. So I think you're right. He is probably like, pulling strings. Let's put them down there. Let's radio them in to like get Snake or whatever else. And then at that point, it's like, okay, I've got to hatch this plan to this double cross as we see, shortly there.
Double cross.
Yeah. So
is he just trying to put more bodies on Snake, like blood on Snake's hands at that?
Probably.
I think he's thinning out the herd. Like I think like
getting rid. Well, he's double crossing, so
right. Gerlukovich brought like I don't know several dozen men, So Ocelot knows he can't take out like the entire Marine Corps plus like 30 Russians, but like if Snake takes out half of them, then all right, we're good. So I think it just plays into his plan a little bit.
6 bullets more than enough to kill anything that breathes.
My hand.
One of the greatest lines in video game history. So as we get down, we get our first kind of view first from video screens, and then up close and personal of Metal Gear Ray, the whole reason we're here.
Metal Gear.
And we get a really good breakdown if you listen to Commandant, what is his name, Scott Dolph? Commandant Scott Dolph. He's doing this presentation about like why Ray is important and why the Marines are important and everything else. And it's a really good kind of lore dump of like where the military is right now. Of they're all kind of competing, like the Navy and the Marines and the Army are all competing for like who can have the best Metal Gear. Other countries are competing for this, and then he like lets it slip that there's something else going on. Like we know that there's like some weird stuff happening inside the government and the military, and we can't quite put our finger on it. But like if we can make the Marines super powerful with Ray, it won't matter. Like we're good. Like so we're kind of creating our own little
outer heaven.
Our own little outer heaven with the Marines and
all this game series is about. It's creating outer heaven.
And it's kind of eerie because we're getting these little breadcrumbs of like Otacon in an earlier conversation mentions like, hey, like it seems like our communications are being like bugged, and as I was doing like some recon for this mission and getting the information stuff on the mission, everything kept like this term "the Patriots" kept like coming up, and it's just like I don't know what's going on, but there's some kind of like Illuminati-esque organization going on. So now you got Otacon saying it, you've got the commander of the Marine Corps saying it, and the wheels are turning a little bit at this point.
Boy, howdy, are they turning?
Right.
My God. It's taking everything in my power.
Yeah, don't just keep smiling, Tomas. Keep smiling,
there.
buddy.
We're gonna move on after that.
How did you guys do with the sneaking? Because this is just like a classic sneaking mission at this point. We got to get these pictures from different angles. We've got several different ways that we can kind of go about these rooms, but we need the Marines all the while are like changing positions, looking left, looking right. It's a little mini game.
The most Kojima thing ever.
It's very
I actually this is where I stopped playing because I never snuck around the whole time limit. I usually just try to get in there, do the pictures or whatever, and keep playing. So I think I replayed this 4 or 5 times just to see like everything that's said, everything they could possibly do, what happens when the time runs out, what happens when you get caught. Like that was never something I wanted to happen before. So,
oh wow.
He like adds extra time, doesn't he?
Yeah,
like, he's like,
yeah. He's like,
I'm gonna go over this again. They try their hardest to give you like an out, a get out of jail free card.
yeah,
Eventually, he has the men just doing calisthenics. Like, look up, look left.
down.
We've been here a while, gentlemen. Let's get loose. Or he says some shit like
yeah. It's so good. There's so many but that's what I'm saying. Like, it really just there's just so many little things that are just sprinkled into this game that
yeah.
it's an objective based game, but it's like if you do take the time to see like, oh, what happens when the time runs out, or yeah, it's just so cool. It's just so many little things in there, and I've played this game before, so I know what happens once you take pictures and all that shit. But it was just really fun to kind of just like be in this moment and see like what other angles I could like take, and I don't know. There's just so much to do in this fucking game. Yeah.
What happens if you cartwheel into a large group of Marines?
It's great. It's fantastic.
How many can you knock down?
We died. We did something right in the middle.
Yeah, I think it was. So one of them like hangs back, and you kind of have to like get around one of the Marines near the back of the room. And I think we were like, oh yeah, like we're gonna have to shoot this guy, right? Like we just like shoot him, but I think he's like on a metal grate, which makes like sound. So I think when he drops, everyone like turns around, and we're like, oh well, we can't do that. But it is a little bit of trial and error there, sometimes.
Yeah, you got a lot of different routes, a lot of different methods of doing things. I mean, the game's already showed you this at this point. Like, there's like 20 paths to the end goal.
I love it.
But then we get to Metal Gear.
What do you guys think of the design of Metal Gear Ray, like overall? We get our first glimpse of it.
Pretty cool.
I think it is very Godzilla 1999
Yeah.
inspired, especially later on when we see it actually moving and stuff and diving.
The fact that it roars.
Yeah, the team is throwing so many movie references at us in this. One that I really that never hit me until this one. We'll talk about next episode.
Oh yeah.
I'll say I love it because it gave way to my favorite mech design ever. Like, this isn't my favorite, but he went on to create my favorite mech design in his game that came after this one. Zone of the Enders, just like my favorite fucking mech design ever. Just so cool.
You're telling me Shining Gundam's not your favorite mech
Second place, baby. Second place, right there in second. Jody.
His hand of mine's glowing.
You dig the design, right, Kayla? Like you were saying that.
I did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think it looks cool.
Yeah.
I love. I think Rex
later
is,
on when you see it better, it looks cool.
Yeah.
It's a graphical flex.
It's so different. Like Rex is a walking battle tank, right? That's what they keep calling it and everything else. And it looks very like tank like. It's got guns on it and everything else. Like Ray's just so much more sleek. It's animal like. It's Godzilla like. Like it.
It's nuts. Like it's got fucking ray beams it shoots out of its mouth.
Yeah,
it's
like a water cannon.
Yeah, it's like a pressurized water cannon. I think that's what it is.
I always thought it was lasers as well, and maybe it does have lasers because like Rex had lasers, but But yeah, it's at least in the beginning, it's a water cannon.
That's the coolest thing about Rex was
exactly. Yeah, it's like so it can use it underwater, I guess, or whatever.
Light the submarine in half with water pressure.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's anime as fuck.
Yeah, it really is.
But it's super practical. Like it makes sense. Like on boats, air conditioning is run off of just fucking water intakes that come in through the hull.
Right.
Like
Right.
repurposing what's around you as something usable.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see on the outside of the shell of Ray, like you could see like, oh, that's probably like where it brings water in somehow. Like it has like turbine. Like, you could see like in the
So
legs
thoughtful.
and things like that.
Nuts.
Yeah.
So cool.
Goddamn, is it cinematic?
Speaking of
Yes, it
cinematic, we get a pretty lengthy cinematic to kind of end the game at this point. Once we've gotten the pictures uploaded and everything else, everything kind of blows to shit. We get Sergei Gurlukovich. We get Scott Dolph, the commandant of the Marine Corps. We get Ocelot Shalashaska himself. We get the Lale Lule Low line, which is like just completely batshit until much later. Like what the hell are you guys talking about? Yeah, people are throwing out the Patriots and everything else.
This back.
So what we have is Ocelot linked up with Sergei Gurlukovich, told him, okay, we're gonna steal the Ray from the U.S. military to better Russia, to like bring Russia back to being the superpower,
World superpower.
of course, he was double crossing, triple, quadruple crossing potentially,
As ocelots do.
as ocelots do. So everyone's surrounded. We got our Mexican standoff between Russians and U.S. Marines, and ocelots and Mike.
Before the standoff, we take our photos, we upload our photos, we get to see the cute Otacon avatar. It's very cute.
Yeah.
Pretty fun. Yeah.
And then it cuts to the cutscene. Did Gurlukovich have like stealth camo? How the hell did this portly 60-year-old gentleman sneak up on the leader of the fucking Marine, whatever, captain of the Marines, whatever?
Yeah.
In front of like dozens and dozens of
They made such
lot
a
of people.
they were like Snake, you have to be really careful sneaking around. And then he's just like, yo.
It's like fucking Naruto teleport into there.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is because we see all of his troops come from the ceiling. They like rappel down. I guess maybe he rappelled first down, like onto Ray or behind Ray or something. It's very bright in there.
Little
you know?
nitpick.
It's very bright. All the lights are in the Marine's eyes.
I love it.
The commandant is in his bag. He's having a good time talking about his new toy. No one's seeing the portly 60-year-old Russian.
Because let me tell you, they see me. No problem. They get a glimpse. I tiptoe on that grate once, and it's...
Well, he's wearing camouflage, right? So,
Can't see him.
Yeah, Snake's just in a sneaking suit.
He's like wearing one of those puffy Russian hats, for God's sake.
That is true. Yes.
They make a big deal about showing him put it on.
He does.
That's why I made the comment about the barber.
It's really good. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of sneaking up on people because then Ocelot sneaks up on Gurlukovich and Snake's also sneaking, but no one's just even like looking in his direction,
Chaos control, man.
I love a good Russian standoff or a good, a good Mexican standoff here.
A lot of things happen in this scene.
It's
really
amazing.
fast.
Yeah, we get like, okay, who's working for who? Why? There's double crosses that we didn't know people were even working together, and then it culminates in a really cool cinematic like gunplay of Ocelot taking out like everyone. The commandant's dead. Sergei's dead. Like 7 Russian soldiers are all dead. And all the Marines are just confused, I guess, at this point. Like, what the fuck is
The
going
fact
on?
that nobody shot other than like again with Mike on the nitpickiness.
These are fine, upstanding Marines. Again, Tomas, these are fine.
Yeah, they absolutely need orders in order to fire.
Proper gun control,
Right,
Tomas,
right.
okay?
Yeah,
Right.
okay. I live in Florida, D.
USA.
Proper gun
Hey,
discipline.
we're in Indiana. I don't know.
I mean, it's good for-
And also, Yeah, actually, also counterpoint. They're in a water vessel, bruh. They're not just shooting at. They're not just gonna start fucking firing.
Somebody already fired like 7 times. Bro.
Yeah, they're probably mad about it.
Are you like hiding your
This is
cats at this
Revolver
point yet,
Ocelot.
or what?
Oh, hiding
was
the
that?
cats. It's good. It's good.
Yeah. Are they? Have they started taking your guys' cats in Florida yet? Like
No,
It's only
no,
Ohio,
no.
I think.
they have they?
Have
They?
they? I did post a Magic the Gathering card combo on our ship posting group the other day. It's
Oh, like the
hating
witch's
the
cauldron or
cats.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Skibbity Ohio combo, we call that. Right?
The Ohio combo.
I knew we'd get there. I knew we'd get to
Yes.
eventually in the tanker mission.
Ocelot walking out here is so fucking cool. Like we get
It
like
is.
3 jingly spur cowboy things already,
Hell
but
yeah.
it's still cool every time he comes in. And I don't think I ever noticed that. I think is that Liquid's jacket that he wears.
Oh, you're probably right. His trench coat. I think you're
Probably is.
right.
Yes.
Right.
And it makes more sense, later, like 10 minutes from now.
Oh yeah, it
playing
makes
it.
total
Right.
sense.
I mean,
we don't figure
You
out
see
why
why.
for another
Yeah.
2 minutes.
12-year-old me was like, "Oh, okay, like, all right, he's got a hand again." It just makes
sense.
makes sense.
This universe absolutely makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, you're right. You're
Don't,
right.
don't get me
Yeah, they're
started.
cyborg
on this, though.
ninjas.
We're not jumping the shark yet, but like,
Yeah,
No, 10 years later we will, but just the flick of that jacket,
Yeah.
shooting through it, just cool stuff. Just cool.
Yeah.
that's awesome.
His
Yeah,
whole
Kayla.
outfit is really cool. He's got like different camo than everyone. It's
The only thing that could have popped it off more, and they couldn't have done it before. They couldn't have done it here because they don't do it until the next game. So you went wow before he came out.
yep.
Guys, I think Ocelot might be my favorite. I don't know.
Ocelot's fucking. He is
Very
this
cool.
game. He is this entire like. Again,
Yeah. Yeah. Let's
breathe,
not,
breathe,
Cool
Tomas.
action.
Breathe, Tomas. Take 10. Take 10.
Ocelot is incredibly more important than when you're introduced to him in like as the first boss or whatever else, the throwaway boss. It is wild to see the progression, even through this game, even through just the tanker of this game. To
Yes.
think like I didn't think Ocelot would come back and kind of be this major like plot point and like the jump off of the entire kind of game and then eventually the entire series really. So
Yeah, like the whole thing.
yeah, it really is. Like, and you don't even know. It's like how insane it
it's
becomes. But
fucking nuts, Kayla.
but,
Like,
yeah, Ocelot's cool. There's no shame in Ocelot being your favorite character, Mike. I think these games are kind of
so
like,
dope.
made to be to like force that on you.
Yes, Mr.
Playing-
President.
He has the best. He has so many great lines in that. Like
so good.
monologue
I've been
that
saying
he
them all
does.
podcast.
God. And he just has. There's so many more to come, and he's just
Good.
cool.
All
He's
good.
just-
My man,
Yeah.
He has aura.
Yeah.
the Rizzler.
So,
But then Snake finally jumps in, and then we get the reveal that we find out who this right or left arm. What I forget which
think it's his
where
right.
it came from.
yeah. So
'cause-
if you remember from MGS1, he lost his right arm.
My hand.
Well, it is interesting
Ivan
actually
Entis.
because he only loses his hand, but apparently they chopped off
graft
a
the
little bit
whole
more.
arm.
Yeah.
Well, surgically
Gotta get up to
speaking,
those
they could
nerve
have just,
endings.
yeah.
So Ocelot is Liquid Snake? Question mark. His voice changes. His whole body
Liquid Ocelot.
The mixture, yeah.
changes. It's a wild
Yes,
scene.
Yeah, it was like the milk's gone bad, brother. It's your old genetics.
So
There's only
do
room
we-
for one in this podcast.
Do we feel that, like, is Ocelot aware that Snake takes over sometimes? Or
Get out of my mind.
I cannot answer that.
We don't know that yet.
That's
more to come. Okay.
hold on to that question so tight.
All right, let's do it 20
Again.
question
Okay.
style.
In 10 years, we'll get to that, Kayla.
Okay.
Oh, it's all will be revealed. Yeah, I mean, just hearing Liquid again. You know,
There goes that. I'm dead.
you know, a man we killed at the end
Don't you mean Master Miller?
I do. I mean, Master Miller is
Who's
Don't do this now.
Donald Miller.
Not towards the end. God damn it.
He didn't have his sunglasses on.
But yeah, what a wild twist, and then Ocelot regains control of himself, I guess, and steals Ray and flies off into the
Blows the
sunset.
syntax. Just
Yeah.
fucking doesn't care.
That's a great line. Like he's like,
Start swimming now. You might be able to reach the harbor.
it's good.
Yes.
It's good. Yeah. So the ship's fucked. Like it's sinking. Snake has to like swim after Ray. I don't know what his plan was, but literally, like, you know, Ray takes a dive off of the ship. And Snake's like, I guess I'm following, and just dives off. And
Well,
that's
he's just kind of
So cool,
floating.
though.
Mm,
He's just kind of there. Like he makes it. He's
What
outside
do
of
I
the
do
wreckage.
now?
yeah.
And that big
Three
tidal
hours.
wave, like a big wave, kind of. We don't know where Snake is,
Yeah.
kind of. And there's a really at least I found it funny of Ray just kind of gliding past all these bodies in the water. Just
Says
a
lot
weird
about Mike.
scene. And, yeah, we get another like double. We find that, you know, Ocelot is triple, quadruple crossed, and
Always.
seems like, yeah, you know, we're able to blame Snake for all of this and walk away with the Metal Gear, you know.
And he's got his famous line. They redo the famous line at the end of Metal Gear Solid.
President.
But yeah, his Mr. President line. He does it
Right.
again. Different president this time, but good stuff.
I wonder where they were in the term in the 2 years. Did they get reelected? I don't know. Who
I
knows?
believe it's the new president at this point. At least
New
if,
boss named the old big
Yeah,
boss.
President Sears, he didn't work out.
yeah, he didn't work out. So that's the tanker. Let's you know, final wrap up, final thoughts on the tanker, and where it leaves us into part 2 of this disc dive. Mike, does this game hold up?
Yes. You know, this released a month after GTA 3. And that is such a big sandbox. Please go away. And hold on. Sorry, I have someone knocking.
You're good.
That is such a big kind of open world sandbox, and this is such like shrunk down, smaller sandbox, like with all like the little fun things you can do in the tanker.
Mhm.
And this was, you know, this was the demo on the demo disc for Zone of Enders, like this whole, or was it just I think it ended at Olga.
It ends at Olga. You don't get to go. You don't get to go the full mission. It's like you get the
See
boss fight.
tanker, or the
Yeah.
Right.
Ray.
But the whole, it's just such a fun tech demo, really. It is really, Kojima's like, I have all this exposition, all this fun, cool stuff to bring to the storyline. How do I link it together gameplay-wise? And I love it. Playing it again, like just noticing little things like, oh, yeah, that's Grlukovich over the radio every time they're, you know, talking with some, you know, with the guards and things like that. And it's, man, I love it. I can't wait to play the rest.
Kayla, your first experience of Metal Gear Solid 2. What you?
And
feeling?
I know we kind of talk a lot about how confusing Metal Gear is. I feel like right now it's kind of pretty straightforward. I think in a
Thank
way,
you.
like I understand it's also fictional. So like, yeah, of course he had
Is
this
it?
arm this arm attached
Grafted,
to him, and he now has some of that person's personality. I'm like, yeah, of course, that's what would happen. I'm not so. Of course, there would be double crossings. Of course. So all the double dutching you want.
You sweet summer child, Kayla.
We'll see.
I've been internally screaming this whole entire podcast.
Kayla, did you
what
feel
happens when we pull the layers?
Did you feel towards the end like you felt more comfortable with the controls and stuff? And
I don't think so.
no, okay.
Oh no, Eric, you got to show
Well,
her.
There's more. You know,
No,
there's
plenty.
You got to show her how to do handless cartwheels.
It's
not
like-
a fan of handless cartwheels.
It's like there's a disconnect. I can't even figure out how to walk. Pull my gun out.
It will click. It'll
get
click.
It will have to.
It's
get
hard.
there. You
Or
probably
especially
won't
like
finish.
going up to an enemy. It's like a panic, and then they see me, and then I gotta run, and then
It opens up a
The
little
hold
bit
up
more.
mechanic. Yeah. The hold up mechanic is your friend. When you're coming up to an enemy, just aim at him.
I feel
Make
like
him
I gotta
stop.
walk backwards to move forwards. Like gotta like
It's-
press square for every step, but not square. The action button, which who knows what that is, because it can be anything in this.
The next part of the game is a little less claustrophobic.
Definitely.
That I can
Like-
definitely say is a feeling
Is
too.
it?
Like it, and it's
Oh,
kind of
Parts.
Hey, shush you.
it could
Like-
be like a bit of like could be a bit of some PTSD of like, oh my god, I've found the snake in Resident Evil 1 and I don't know how to get away from it and I'm freaking out and I've never gone further in Resident Evil 1 than that, and
Oh my!
Marine guy sees me and now I gotta run and fuck, there's cameras here now and I can't figure out how to pull my gun out. The gun doesn't do shit anyways. All it does is tranquilize them. Then they're back up. I thought I cleared the hallway and I didn't. They're there still.
Checkpoints are really close though, so it's like you get a lot of time to practice.
I mean, I think that's everyone's first experience with this
pretty
game.
much.
Is just like learning, like, oh fuck, if one of these
I
dudes
died a
sees
lot.
me, I need to know. Like,
Where to run.
you start learning tricks.
It
Like,
feels
okay,
harder to me than
It is.
1.
It is.
Well, they're smart.
Yeah,
because
it's
they're
like
definitely smart.
way harder.
but
Well,
then
it's like-
they give you the tools to counteract. Like, I think the first person shooting, once you can get used to it, once you get used to like,
Good tool.
you know, you can lean on a corner, and if you hit the shoulder, you can pop out, you know, and shoot and things like that, and just
Like, how do
very
I get
time.
my gun out?
being
How do I
in
put my
like-
gun away?
Just warning you, they'll throw
Yeah,
grenades
there
at
is
the
a
back.
learning curve for sure. Like if you go into the actions menu, like the tutorial like options, they give you like little video vignettes for every.
Yeah.
There's a lot there, and it goes from like basic actions, which seem really hard, to it literally says like hard stuff, basically. And that stuff's crazy, like to pull off some of that stuff. Like I said, like in the engine room where you know, there's all like those different tiers of stairs and strut and runways. You can flip over the top railing, drop down, grab that bottom one, and like skip. Like
Yeah, you can
a lot of
drop a
stuff,
whole
you
level
know.
down.
Right.
And like Tomas said, there's so many things you don't have to interact with, you don't have to do, but they're there, and
Right. And they're fun.
so good. Yeah,
This game's so good.
How
D, you still loving it? You love
Yeah,
this
how you
game?
feeling, D, on going forward?
Just like normally replaying games, there's like a wave of nostalgia and all that and everything, and just all the fond memories that come with like rebooting a game up that you haven't touched in a while. And like you guys kind of said earlier, it felt more like I got back on a bike. It got back on a thing that I should be doing, that I feel is right, and that still has that level of difficulty, and like that first couple minutes of like running around and like getting my fingers used to the stupid fucking combination of buttons I gotta hit just to do the stuff I like muscle memory could remember. That felt so rewarding to like be like, oh yeah, I know this game like the back of my hand. I can just dick around. I don't actually have to feel like Kayla, how you feel right now. Like I don't.
What do I need to do? Where do I need to go?
Yeah, there wasn't the anxiety. It was like, oh yeah, like I never tried this the last time I played. Hey, I never really dicked around with like grip and all this other stuff and hanging off of rails, and like I dropped down on like 3 dudes. That was fun. Just knocking them out by just landing on them.
Hell yeah, dude.
That was so much fun, man. And then just I remembered how cinematic the game can be, and I also remembered I could skip the cutscenes, and man, that felt good.
I feel like that's what it ultimately is to become an adult in modern society. It's just like I replay all these old video games that I loved, near and dear to me, but like the re-releases having a skip feature or having a fast forward feature.
For the boss, like pre-boss things where you do have to die and repeat and repeat and repeat sometimes, yes, that is a bit annoying. Like the opening scene, I don't know if I would ever really skip because it like sets you up. It's like
it's great.
Yeah.
Our opening scene was great. I love
this game is great.
Ray escape scene. I don't know if I would skip it.
Right.
I think my favorite thing, and I think I'll have to leave off on this one. I gotta start getting to work. Was that I let that very first cinematic when you boot the game up just play, and it felt so good to just be, like it was like watching an old movie that you love, and I was just like, man, Kojima's just like been in his bag about the way that he presents games for so long, and it just feels so good to be like he perfectly encapsulates everything you're gonna go through in this game in this little like pre-game start screen cinematic. It's so fucking good.
You're in, like right out the rip.
Cheers to that. D, we can bid you adieu. Thank you for joining the part 1 of the disc dive, and excited for part 2.
Yeah, I'll see you guys.
Yeah, later, day.
Speaking of, there we go. That's really good. Speaking of part 2, now that we've completed the tanker, part 2 of the disc dive will cover up through the Fat Man boss fight. That's what we decided on, right? I think that's probably midway.
I think that's like, yeah, I'm just kind of
half-ish
going with my heart on that one.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I mean, I think after that would probably where would we stop after a Fat Man thing? Like,
I think it's just we'll do 2-part Planter and
I feel like Fat Man's kind of like pretty quick into the big show because you got what, Fat Man, Vamp.
It's the second fight of Planter, and then there's really only 2 or 3 fights after that.
What's her face? Fortune.
Yeah.
And then you got End.
Yeah. I mean, we can maybe do some research to really find out what
we'll workshop it. If we need to do 4 episodes, we might do it because you mentioned you're doing a lot of the side content. You're trying to check out a lot of that kind of stuff. So that might be worthy of an episode as well. So
because I wasn't sure if this had like the Snake Tales, which lets you play through Planter as Snake. It has all of the VR mission stuff. It seems like it's only missing the skateboarding thing, which I'm very disappointed in. I guess that has to do with probably music rights.
I bet you're right.
Because Konami's skateboarding game at that time was Evolution Skateboarding, and I think that ran on the same engine and everything.
It was a failed skateboarding game, and they decided to just throw it in there for like funsies.
Yeah.
You could say that they bailed.
If this was episode 180, I was gonna do a cool
Ooh.
Tony Hawk intro, but I didn't do that. And
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Baloney squawk.
Well, I think unless we have any final thoughts, we can call it there. Episode
Metal Gear
1
Solid
of the
2 is awesome.
It's so good. It's so good. I'm glad you've been digging it, Kayla, as a first go around. It's getting wild from here. So
I'm excited.
Yo, I'm like, okay, so last thought.
Yeah.
Because I know everything about this universe now. So like playing this game the first time, I probably got 10% of what this orange has to squeeze out of it.
Oh yeah.
no, you didn't.
I'm-
I think that's a high number. I don't think anyone got.
So just
we didn't know the future yet.
forewarning, Kayla, like this series is nuts.
I love stuff like that, though.
If you're gonna go down this
I like a
rabbit
world.
hole, boy howdy, it's whoo, it's good.
Yes.
Kojima was on some shit. I will tell you that much.
All right. So that's it. That is Disc Dive Part 1 of Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. We played the entire tanker mission. We loved it. Feeling real nostalgia about that. Next part, we're going to go up through the Fat Man boss fight and probably stop there. We'll see. We'll have some internal discussions, and if we need to change anything, I'll be sure to post that all over social media and everything for anyone who's following. If we end up going further in part 2, check us out on social media. We're at The Machine of Nonsense everywhere. We also have our email account, machineofnonsense@gmail.com. Leave us a note, a question, anything that we missed from the tanker, anything you thought was really cool. Go ahead. This is going to be uploaded as a video version onto YouTube. Go ahead and throw some comments out there. I'll read all of those and maybe get everything onto part 2 and part 3 after that. Any kind of questions, anything we omitted, let us have it, folks. That was that. That's the Disc Dive
Made it a lot.
on Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty Part 1, The Tanker. I was Eric. I was joined by Kayla, Tomas, Mike, and D. We are getting out of here, and we're saying Lale Lule Lo?
Not La Lulilo hello, because we're saying goodbye.
Hello. Laugh and grow fat.
See you guys.
Bye.
Late.